Did you know that as a business owner, it may be possible for someone to find out your name, that you're the owner of the company, your home address, your phone number, your email address? All of that information may be available if they just search for your business's name. I'm attorney Jonathan Feniak, and I've helped over 70,000 entrepreneurs get their businesses up and running and manage them. What I'm going to give you today is an exact blueprint that you can follow to make sure that you're not exposed, your information is not out there for all to see, unless you want it to be, so that you can maintain your privacy when you start up your business. Your entity selection and the jurisdiction. All states are not created equal. The laws vary from state to state. Some states want you to have privacy. Other states, not so much. They want it to be full disclosure. They may require you to list every detail about the members, managers, officers of a company. The leaders in this are, we got Wyoming. I may be biased, but I think it's at the top of the list. Another is New Mexico. New Mexico, great for privacy. Nevada is pretty good, and then Delaware is pretty good as well. So why is Wyoming so good? Wyoming, you don't have to give the member and manager information to the Secretary of State. Wyoming trusts that your professional registered agent, your commercial registered agent, can be trusted to receive that information and maintain it. So your information doesn't even go to the Secretary of State. So they don't know whether subject to a Freedom of Information Act request or otherwise, they don't even know who is the member or the manager or the owner of that company. Nevada is a bit different in that you have to supply the information to Nevada, but Nevada doesn't post it publicly. So it is in the hands of the state, which may make some people uncomfortable, but they promise, pinky promise, fingers crossed, they don't release it to the public. Questions about whether it could be subject to a Freedom of Information Act request or other requests are still out there. You may not know if your information is actually disclosed. And then finally, Delaware, it depends a lot in Delaware on the type of company. Corporations have requirements, the board members need to be listed there. There may be other information reporting requirements in Delaware. You may be able to achieve privacy in Delaware, but it's sort of it may be an unknown. Number two, we're going to talk about creating the proper structure to obtain privacy. And that structure is likely going to be a holding company for you. If you're not in Wyoming, if you're not in a privacy-focused state, if you've got operations in a particular state, such as real estate, you may need to have a holding company to achieve that privacy. So there's a separation between a holding company and a subsidiary company, but it does not need to be that complicated. Holding companies are not a particular type of company. They describe what it does. It holds, it owns other companies. That's what a holding company does. It does not engage in activities that would generally subject it to liability. But what you do is you form first your holding company, right? You get the privacy there, and then you can form a wholly owned subsidiary in the state that does not give you great privacy options. You would list the member of that non-privacy focused state LLC as your Wyoming holding company. If you hire a professional like us to form your subsidiary company for you, we can help you shield your privacy from prying eyes. We can do that by being the organizer of the company in that subsidiary company state. We're not the owner, we're not the member, we're not the manager. We organize the company. We form the company for you and then turn it all over to you, or really turn it all over to your holding company so it can be managed effectively through that privacy shield. Number three, registered agent. If you form your company, you take all the steps, you want to be private, and then you put your home address and name in as a registered agent, well, that's going to be a problem, right? You are going to be forever and always connected to that company in a public record. That would apply even if you're in a privacy-focused state. You need to legally appoint and name a registered agent. A registered agent will accept service of process, will accept a lawsuit on behalf of your company. It's listed publicly because the quid pro quo of having limited liability protection is that it must be easy to name your company in a lawsuit. So professional registered agents will be listed. If you hire someone to be your registered agent, they will be listed in the Secretary of State website. They will receive those legal documents on behalf of your company. So let's talk now about documentation and documentation management. There's a lot of places where there could be leakage. Where could your information, your personal information, your home address, your email address, and so on, be disclosed? If you use the right registered agent, that is not a weak spot. That's potentially one of the strongest spots you're going to have. But if you're doing things like getting a LinkedIn profile for your company, right? Are you the only person connected to that LinkedIn profile? It would be known if you put yourself in as the CEO and founder of the company, then you are in some way associated with it. You're an owner. That can sort of open up a Pandora's box. Another is going to be something like your website. When you register your website, someone, if you don't choose the privacy options, could look up the who is, find out who the administrator is, find out who the responsible person is, find out what their address is. So there is an opportunity there to potentially disclose your information if you're not diligent. If you're thinking about contracts you're signing with counterparties, well, is it something where you need to put your name on that document and disclose that you're the owner of the company? Or is there a way to have a check the box? It's a DocuSign perhaps that the other party is signing. But if you're just looking to bind them and they're not looking to bind you, do they need to know that you are a signatory for the company? Could it also be that it's just a check the box with customers? There's no potentially signed contract. There's issues, all issues of enforceability and so on, but in most cases, if you get some agreement, the other party agrees, you're gonna have a binding contract. So think about what it is you're putting your name on and being diligent and thinking about it before you're releasing your personal information and your connection to that company. You are likely the weakest link. Sometimes you have no choice, and that's something though you're going to enter into with full knowledge, not be sideswiped by your information being released without your knowledge. The final way to maintain privacy is going to be ongoing compliance. Those are things that over time, I don't want you to get it sloppy. If you're concerned about privacy, you need to continue to be diligent. Don't open up something we call attack surfaces, where someone can pull on a thread and make connections and follow breadcrumbs to figure out that you are the owner of the company. So maintaining good standing with the Secretary of State, continuing to pay your registered agent. If you don't pay the registered agent, they could resign and they may be required by law to list the last known contact in the Secretary of State records. That would potentially be a problem for you. It can undermine your privacy. If you're concerned about privacy, you want to make sure you've got the right partner, and LLC Attorney is really the only one out there that is focused on privacy, and we're not going to disclose your information. So your option is hire someone to form your company and serve as your registered agent that's focused on privacy, or hope for the best by doing it yourself or hiring someone who doesn't focus on privacy. I think the choice is pretty clear. Click below to get started.